Welcome to Bold Talks series where creativity, leadership, ideas, and innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Nikolaus Sühr, CEO and co-founder at KASKO. Nick, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talks series. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and looking forward to the next 15 minutes or
Looking
so.
forward. Nick, did I pronounce your last name correctly? Because
very well. Thank you so much for the consideration.
It's great. I just love making sure that the last names are pronounced correctly. And sometimes some last names are very hard. So
I
some of
know.
my guests, they just tell me like, hey, listen, just skip the last name completely.
I've been there, Abby. I've been there.
But here we are. So Nick, great to see you here, and I'm looking forward to this short format conversation. First thing, tell us about the first time the insurance really sparked your curiosity, and what made you start the KASKO.
Very simple. My dad had an insurance agency specialized on classic cars, wanted to take over the family business. Turns out I knew that. Don't go for an agency that's focused on a speciality if you're not really that interested in the speciality. So no passion for cars, and then struck out, did some other stints in the insurance industry. And then 10 years ago, together with my co-founder who I met at uni, we thought that insurance could take a slightly more digital, more convenient route. And 10 years in, we're still at it. And 10 years down the line, we also will still be at it, because insurance is one of these things that's just slightly different than other things. But that makes it fascinating, stimulating. And I, for one, really like what I'm doing.
I love that. So you left the family business in a way,
Correct.
In the comfort of legacy to chase digital transformation in insurance. I mean, insurance, it's I would say at the top, heavily regulated, is it?
Sure, it's very regulated. Yep, like banking and wealth management. It's one of the tougher nuts to crack.
Yeah. Now, what did that leap feel like, and what did you have to unlearn to make it happen?
I don't think I've had to unlearn anything. I would say there was a default to action and to this will work. I've seen my dad being a successful entrepreneur. I didn't see when they were struggling when we were younger. That was not something that I have any memory of. My mom, she's self-employed as a lawyer. And I think if you resonate back, I saw a lot of, I guess, self-employed entrepreneurs, not like big Silicon Valley types, just people, it's like, well, you have a problem. There's a problem. Fix it. It's as simple as that. Get paid to do so. And so you can continue fixing bigger problems. So I think that was just kind of like a default. And when I turned 30, I thought I'll give it a crack, and actually felt that not having any legacy was kind of free. We didn't have constraints of trying when we had to adjust, which we had quite a few times. Mm-hmm. And yes, I didn't think I had to unlearn anything. And we just kind of kept at it and trying to figure out what the problem for our customers, insurance companies were. And we're unpeeling that onion every day.
Yeah. Now, I learned that your co-founder started building KASKO after hours.
Yeah.
And what was that moment, that specific insight or event that flipped the switch from experiment we're all in? Because a lot of times there's no real conviction in the entrepreneur.
Sure.
In entrepreneurs. And so when was that moment you said, like, we're all in? I got that conviction.
So actually, the way Matt and I started this, so we knew each other from university, and we actually I was in a consulting firm at the time. He also was at a tech consulting firm at the time. And the first thing we did is we wanted to trial run the team. And so we did something for 6 months after hours. And it wasn't so much about what we were doing, just that we were committed to showing up Sunday, Friday night, whatever it was, because it's uncomfortable, right? Better things to do. And it's not like you get immediate positive feedback loops that kind of hook you in. Now, what I then decided to do, I decided to take a sabbatical. So but this was not on an insurance idea at the time. It was just I thought we'll do like a small business, we'll get some cash in, and that gives us, some clarity around what to do next. Matt actually then suggested we should do insurance. What I decided to, and there was kind of 3 weeks into our sabbatical, we were looking for that unlock. We were looking for that positive feedback moment that would help us whether we're on the right track. And at the time, accelerators, there was like a big push. This was 2015. There were lots of accelerator programs. So we figured, let's try that. And we got accepted and won a few competitions. And that then kind of realized, okay, if we now wanted to take the next step, we need to go full time. And so both of us just said, fuck it, let's go full time. And then we iterated around our idea probably for a year or year and a half, where we pivoted from, kind of offering our own insurance solutions with a tech substrate and taking a commission to selling our technology solutions to insurers so they could do something like that. But that was basically just following the money feedback loops as we're going through the market. And that's how we approach things today. An insurance company is a complicated beast, lots and lots of different product lines, distribution channels. You wouldn't believe it. And they all have their own different challenges and nuggets to unlock. And we like to start with conversation, trying to understand what works, what doesn't, and then wrap the technology around that.
Yeah. Now, of course, when you look at, for example, like speed is necessary uh, uh, for the entrepreneurs, and it's also for the markets because everything is moving at the speed of light. But then you have agility, and regulations are often the friends in this case for you. How do you design a culture at your company at KASKO that embraces rapid innovation while, of course, respecting and watching that tightrope of compliance that the insurance industry requires?
So I would say the regulation is actually not a big problem. I wouldn't recommend you set up your own insurance companies. There's many insurance companies. And we've played that movie, right? There was a lot of funding in insurtech, and it basically all fizzled out. And the reason it fizzled out is really you and me. It's us as consumers that we don't really engage with an insurance product that often. Is it annoying on paper? Yes. You do it once, maybe. Unless you're in the UK, you don't where you're forced to get a new quote every year. If you weren't forced to do a new quote, you probably would just kind of let this tick along because it's an annoying process, and there's kind of other things that occupy you. So I think there is that level of latency or sluggishness in the demand that just trickles down the market. So what we found when we were able to accelerate massively product development from a technical side, we needed to have product developers to catch up. Then we needed to have channels to catch up. And then we still needed consumers to even care and not just go with what they were used to going. So flipping that back, we do not move fast and break things. We do not innovate rapidly. What we are actually but we tried, we did. And, like most innovations, these things fail because it's not that easy to find something that customers want that hasn't been invented before. It's not super, after the fact, everyone knows it, but it's not super easy. Innovator's dilemma at play. One principle is we need to stay in the game. If we stay in the game, we tend to observe more markets, we get more opportunities. There's one of the key principles that I built this company is financial prudence. Just stay in the game. Now, we have sales cycles, short, 9 to 24 months. The truth is I have sales cycles that are 10 years because I have relationships that have been grown over 10 years. It's not that they won't buy at some point because we don't position ourselves as here's a CRM, right? But we position ourselves, here's a new digital initiative, here's a new digital product, serve this banking customer. How do we deploy an AI agent? So we wrap our technology around things that you want in order to grow or save costs, which is an infinite game. And so we have infinite opportunity. Now, in order to build on these infinite opportunities, we need to understand the market better, expand our capabilities, but be there in 6 months' time, or 9 months' time when it comes. And the other thing is to have a very, very, very close ear to the market. Constant conversations, building out content, and not just kind of content, but saying like understanding, being a partner in a discussion where they go, wow, this is helpful, because that creates trust. Trust is not created by some sales dude flipping a script and asking you about how your buying cycle is. That's not relevant for you. Or some guy who built pipeline in 2 weeks with this no N8N thing that they post on LinkedIn. I guarantee you that's not going to work in B2B sales in insurance. However, alike is not a pipeline growing mechanism either. So I think that's how we financial prudence, interest in what our customers actually do. And that then gives us the patience to maintain that, like catching a wave, like a good surfer. we don't exhaust ourselves when the waves don't come.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I always say, like, in order for to be interesting, you should be first to be interested.
I love that. That's what I say as well.
And a lot of times, like when we are interested in someone, we need to think about, okay, what is the value that I'm adding
Totally.
in in this game? Because in order to receive, you should first give. And that's, to me, that's been a principle. And that principle, like you said, like trust is not built overnight. You can't build
Nope.
trust, but it's, you can start somewhere by giving that trust. And I think this is for anyone who's listening to this, like, it's important that it's a long journey. So you're playing a long game, and I really amazed to see, because a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in your age, they're trying to play this short game, like real, like trying to become overnight success. But there's no such a thing. You got to you got to play the long game.
And, I mean, and maybe there is, right? Maybe you can be a lottery winner, but if it's overnight, it's not earned. And if it's not earned, it then kind of comes with its own problems, just whatever,
Yeah,
whatever pop psychology or the old sage texts, they all tell you the same thing. If it's not earned, it's not worth it to you. It needs to be worth it to you. And that comes with sweat, blood, and tears, which everyone defines in their own individual terms. And so I would say this reminds me of one of our CFO. He's with us for 8 years. And I remember, I'm just mentioning this because today is his work anniversary. And I remember him, I think 2-3 years, he was like, Nick, how do you continue doing it? Because we got no, like a lot more than we did get yes. And it just never felt like this one thing that I had to achieve. It was just, I learned something else and I learned something else. And I was like, well, it's fine. I'm 41 now. And I'll probably work for the next 40 years. And I was like, okay, it's 20% of the journey, or, whatever, 25%. It's like, oh, this is way cooler than what I started. This is just getting really interesting.
yeah,
And so I just don't have there's no end goal. It's like an infinite game ultimately. And there needs to be milestones in between. There's other people, be that investors, be that partners, who might have a different view about their journey. They see this more as a stepping stone than goal itself. And that's fair. And you need to negotiate these things. And, it's not just an individual thing, but basically for me, I have all the patience in the world. It'll go up and down, and I'm at the right place. I got into insurance because of my father, but I'm here to stay because I find it fascinating. And I really like the people that I'm working with because it's a non-transactional business. The flip side of the sluggishness is the relational aspect to it, which is people hate. It's like they would call it nepotism because they're outside of the network. But once you're part of that network, like anything, it has pros and cons. And it's because insurance is ultimately about risk, about uncertainty, about long-term nature of contracts, and you don't really know after 6 months whether something is successful or not. I think that attracts a certain level of character. Also then, I don't know, finance, which is more fast-paced, maybe also tech. But it's a little bit more transactional. And I like being able to pick up a phone and have someone that I've worked with for 10 years and we know what we got with each other.
Nick, I'm truly enjoying this conversation. Thank you for joining me this Bold Talk series. I like to ask this, and I ask this question to all of my guests, and this is about the word bold. What does that mean to you personally, the word bold?
Probably depending on the day and the season, something else. In the beginning, might have been saying no to my dad and not taking over the family business. Afterwards, it might have been quitting my consulting job and doing that. It might have been taking that sabbatical before my co-founder took the sabbatical. It might have been investing a lot of, not just blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of money into the company. And these days, it's making sure that I actually have a family. I have 2 small daughters. So it's adjusting that, to me, it's bold to know that this is a marathon and not a sprint anymore. So I need to be okay taking a weekend and still be excited on a Monday. And so to me, bold changes with the season. And you can find I think you can be bold in many different ways.
Changes with the season. Love to end with this. Nick Sühr, thanks for joining me in this Bold Talk series. Look forward to reconnect again. Meantime, have a great summer. Be great and be bold always. Take care.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you.